to order the board and building and planning committee. And for an action item, I don't know if everybody's looked at the agenda. I'm assuming they have, but we need approval of the agenda.
So moved. I'll second.
Thank you. John?
Yes.
Yes, you're not even in Texas anymore,
Yeah,
but you sound like it.
yes, y'all.
Ross,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Thank you.
Was Gene not here today or no?
Gene is
Oh.
not coming.
Okay.
He said Merry Christmas to you all. Okay, I'm just kidding.
Wow. Christmas in July.
I know, well, you know, a gift is a gift. Public comment, I don't see anybody from the, oh, well, Mark, you can act like it.
Matter, she gets scared already, had to change her background?
It's a night where he is.
Right.
It's like a fire up there.
D, the approval of the minutes from May 25th.
Make the motion.
I think so.
Thank you. Ross and Fred, thank you. Fred, your vote?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Fred? Fred, John?
Yes.
Why does Fred get two votes?
You know, like this, well, and I'm a yes. Thank you.
That's a Brown Act violation.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a bribe, it was just, I was trying to snap my fingers. And they want to work out well for me,
Just like the Supreme Court.
just like it. But we have term limits, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess not. Project update for the master plan for discussions, phases 4 and 5.
Yeah, so obviously there was nothing to report, and we have approved plans. We're waiting on FEMA, and there have been no additional RFIs since the third one. And so I guess that's good.
Yeah, I would think so, or hope so.
Yeah, because if they have any questions, I mean, and a lot of their questions were relatively minor due to finances because there's so many different forms. And when you total up on this form and then you compare it to this form, it was off by just a few dollars or something. And so we made all those adjustments and stuff. So it's been very minor. So far, no news. I guess it's good news.
Or they haven't read it.
Yeah.
Do we have any idea what the board announcecement's going to look like? Do they notify the consultant? Do they notify us? Do they just do it in the congressional record? What's the deal?
Well, they're supposed to email me and they're supposed to email Cal OES because the program is through Cal OES.
Okay.
Okay. And the consultants work for Cal OES. So,
Okay.
so for instance, when the RFIs came in, the RFIs came to me from the consultants.
Okay. So the consultants get them first and then.
Yeah, they give them to me, then I do the response. They review my responses. We have a discussion. We make any changes that we want to make, and then they submit them back.
Okay.
And then we wait.
Yeah, and then we wait.
So let us know,
Oh,
like right away.
oh, well, oh, you mean a month ago I got a notice that I got the award? Yeah, obviously, you would know minutes after we found out.
Right.
Yes.
Make sure it's not like a issue email. Yes,
Yeah.
cannot.
Oh, I look every morning. First thing I do is I look at my emails and see if I've got anything. And I get stuff from them, but it's a notice of the seminar or it's another possible funding thing that's becoming available. So, each time I get them, it's like, I open up, it's like, oh, okay, that's not it. So,
One day you will say, here it is. New administration building.
okay, so we have been continuing working down there. The Suite B, is basically done. Ceiling tiles are in, electrical is all trimmed out, IT is all in, data drops, painting's all done. It's looking real nice. That's done. Basically the same information on Suite A is all done. And we are now currently working on just trimming out the restrooms for we are, because as you all know, we have to be out of the HR building. And so all of a sudden it became a big priority to get people moved. So I have tentatively, I have accounting and billing moving on, I believe it's the 8th.
It's Thursday, you said?
Yes.
And what do you need us to do for that? For everything?
Well, we're getting you boxes.
Good.
And we've been delivering some boxes. So if we're gonna move on the 8th, on the 7th, everybody needs to pack up their stuff. And then, and at this point, plan on the 8th. There's, short of, they can't get here because too many roads are closed, but
Right.
they haven't come up and given an evaluation and an estimate because they haven't been able to get here. But tentatively, they're gonna have somebody here tomorrow. They're gonna drive all the way around. Because they have to go to Ridgecrest anyway. So she said that she would come over from Ridgecrest and take a look at things. But this is a company that we have used for years for our moving, and another branch of their company does all of our document destruction.
Hmm.
So we've used this company for many, many years.
It moved us before.
Every time we move like when we took all the x-ray records out of the building here and moved them up there, they did that move. Every time we do major moves of banker boxes, when it's large amounts, we've had them do it. If it's 20 or 30, 40 boxes, we move them. But when it's been, for instance, in this move, we have 250 banker boxes of records to move down to the building.
And what's the cost of that?
Don't know yet.
So we'll know after it's done.
We should know hopefully tomorrow.
What about if we don't want some of the boxes to go down to that opposite?
Your girls said that they were going to do some purging.
Yep.
So if there's some that can go into the back storage.
Yeah.
Yes, we will just simply do that.
That is possible, probably.
And my plan is tomorrow I'm picking up all your shelving. Bakersfield, I'm gonna be pulling a trailer to Bakersfield because it's more than I can put in a pickup truck. To pick up all your shelving that will be set up down in your new storeroom to put all the banker boxes on.
And the storerooms are in that same building there?
Yes.
All right. We should. Yep.
Yeah, it's the room that has the floor tile. Yeah. So there'll be 4 rows of shelving. Should handle up to about 250 boxes.
Want to destroy some of the stuff? That's the same company?
Same company does that as well. Yes.
Hopefully we'll be able to do some of that too.
Well, each year we purge.
Yeah.
And they come up with the truck and do all of that. If it's large amounts of banker boxes, they bring a truck up, they load them up, they take them to their big shredder. But if it's smaller amounts, they shred them on site.
So you mentioned in your comments about getting HR out. I hadn't heard. Did we terminate that lease?
It's been terminated
It's been
for us.
terminated for us.
The
Oh,
building was sold.
oh, okay.
So they're closing end of the month?
31st.
That'd be out by the end of August.
Well, good. That worked out well.
Yeah.
Well, it probably worked out better if we'd have got them moved prior to
Yeah.
this.
31st of July.
Actually, you said escrow closes when?
Closes September 6th.
Yes. So we have
Until the end of the
okay.
month, and if we need a 30-day extension, we just have to ask.
Yes.
for it.
They will give us a 30-day extension. Right now, my plan is to move accounting and billing on the 8th of August. And then we were gonna, but if we need to, we can slide to the week of the 12th. And then we planned on moving HR the week of the 19th, but that could slide 1 week to the 26th. And I think it's doable. So that's the plan
Great.
right now,
Good.
which has us out by the end of the month.
It's not talking about the sliding part. Let's just get
Yeah.
it. By the-
Well, no, I have built 1 week of slide into both.
I meant
If need be.
employees. Yeah.
Yes.
Can't
No, it's-
envision them all sliding the boxes down.
Yeah.
I had thought about going ahead and getting the extension or putting in for the extension. If we don't need it, that's fine. But at least if something comes up or whatever, fires or things like that, we need to delay stuff. If we'd already have it, I don't want to wait till the last second. Oh, we need to, so I'm still thinking about that one.
So obviously we've been putting a lot of effort and work into that. I still have to, probably this afternoon, I'll get a drawing of the accounting house and we got to decide how we're going to create a physical barrier for the public not being able to get to the HR staff. You know, like we have at the current building. You can go into the lobby, but you can't. There's a locked door to get into the staff area because we've had a couple of times when someone was a little upset. And so,
Or you've had, people sleeping in there, coming in and sleeping in there, and stuff like that.
well, yeah, the porch.
That was because of.
Yeah, it's gonna,
Yeah.
that's gonna,
Would that extension cost us another month's rent?
Yes, it would.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
If we use it, right.
That's why I'm shooting to be out by the end of the month. So I believe it's doable. I don't see any hurdles to keep us from doing that yet. In spite of scrambling for the fire and all the other things we're doing. All right, so that's, any questions on the admin building?
I guess I don't have a question. I just have a statement that, it's probably been 6 months that I've been asking about that. And, you know, we set a deadline 2 months ago for it to be completed.
Then I lost one of my main person who works on it.
Okay, but what I'm just saying is, like I had commented before, sometimes I feel like we put all these things into motion and everybody has deadlines and nothing happens. And it's, I know, I get, I mean, it's probably okay with a lot of people, but, I don't think it's really okay that we just keep, and now it's an emergency, we gotta get out. And that's one of the things I brought up before. I don't think just me, I think it's been brought up by different board members at different times. But it's just kind of,
Never had a sense of urgency.
I just don't even know how to really put it into words. And I know there's always something gonna happen.
Well, like I had explained to you last time, administration decided that fixing up areas of the hospital were a higher priority, and so that's what we worked on. Now, I mean, you're welcome to get a new manager of plant operations.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. And you're not the only one that makes decisions. That comes from town.
I take my direction from Tim.
That's what I'm saying. But bottom line, there's always something that we're behind for, and it costs us usually, more money. And it's just kind of hard as elected official. It's hard for me. It's kind of like, people elect and put trust in stuff, and I feel like I'm the failure. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody else, but because I'm the one that gets questioned. So that's why I just asked, even though we set deadlines and try to do certain things, we don't, we're not real good about it at meeting them, so it's just a statement. It wasn't a question.
It's not an issue that we don't all feel the same priorities. Okay.
Well, and
It's just the issue that our priorities change on a daily basis, like the fire. You can't predict a lot of these things that happen.
And
So
that's,
And Edison
We tried to-
saying that they're gonna do a PSPS shut off last weekend. Okay, my wife and I had plans to go out of town for our anniversary. Okay, that got canceled. My wife lost $650 and she's pissed.
well,
But I was here taking care of it.
it's not my goal to upset you, but it is my goal to voice my opinion. That's why I sit here. And the administration building's been there 4 years, 5 years, before I came. So I just kind of wonder that we invest in stuff, but we don't.
usually the investment, there's nothing wrong with the investment. We bought that building. Whenever we decide to use it, we have it. If prices continue to go up, that's clear, fine. We locked that price in by buying that building. I said, so we
Right.
still got, again, when we have the time and the resources to do that, we get it done. So it's there when we need it, instead of now going out at the last minute, I gotta go find a place to put all this stuff. So there is that aspect of it. I mean, it's not like we've been spending money on it. We own it.
No, we haven't. We've been doing that now, but we were spending money on rent every month. But I would say, why are we spending money on rent when we have buildings? So I just want to, I don't intend on hurting anybody's feelings,
No,
but
it's just-
and I know how things get in the way, but it is just kind of devastating to me because I get questioned about it. I don't know if any of the other board members get questioned.
We do.
And you try to explain it and then I start feeling like you're feeling right now. And I don't like it either, but if I don't have answers to give to the community, then I'm not doing my job either. So,
Understood.
and I'm usually, for some reason, one that brings it up, but I don't know.
All broader.
But anyway, I would just like to see more progress, but progress is in the works now, so hopefully everything goes as planned. Okay, next. Emergency generator.
Okay, that is, I did get notice from, Quinn that, ASCO, they were supposed to deliver the last 3 transfer switches mid-July, and, they are running behind, and they don't even have a ship date yet for me, so most of our materials that we're waiting for are probably gonna arrive in between August and, October.
October.
So we're really not doing anything on that project other than, of course, the other failure that we had, which was a 57-year-old transfer switch failed on 4th of July test and fried a circuit in the lab and burned out a motor on a piece of equipment and ER went black and acute care went black. So I immediately got an emergency authority to proceed approved by OSHPD. And
And that happened pretty quick, didn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought, so.
but it went down on the 4th. As I put in here, we had the new transfer switch in and working on the 12th.
It's good.
We were installing it out there when it was 104 to 106, and I put the temperature down on the concrete we were working on. It was 140 degrees. We were out there working for multiple days,
They're taking turns.
Yeah, I can.
standing in the shade, 3 of us
Yeah,
working. Because it was so hot that you couldn't touch anything.
Yeah.
So it's done.
Yep.
And the plans had to be in within 10 days. You do have a copy of the proposal from Greenbow because it had to happen so fast. There's no cost to it. It's just to be done at time and material. And those plans are already done, installed, given to OSHPD, and they were approved yesterday. So, and the only change on the plans related to the work that is already done is they requested to have some protection of the cabling. If you go out back of the hospital, you can see the temporary cabling. So we're going to purchase some treated lumber and plywood, and we're going to build a cover over the wires so that they're protected so they can't be damaged by anything. That's all we have left to do to complete that project. And boiler 2 replacement, the work is probably 90 to 92% done. Minor challenge with the gas regulator. The propane gas regulators did not flow appropriate amount of propane to fire the boilers at 100%. And so actually they were going to try and be here today, but then of course the canyon's closed. They want to take a measurement of the pressure coming into the building. And I don't want to take that measurement for them and give it to them because then I'm liable. They need to come up. They need to take a measurement of the propane pressure, which will be between 2 and 4 PSI. And then they will calculate that at 150 million BTU input, that the orifice size on the gas regulators needs to be such and such because the ones that are in there are too small. So when we went to fire the boilers up, they fired up to about 50-60%, and then the pressure of the propane, which is measured in inches of water, it's not supposed to go below 11, but you can go as low as 8. But when we fired at 100%, it dropped to 4.5 inches of water column. So we're not getting enough propane. So as soon as they get that resolved and the appropriate regulators in, and we have a little bit of a bracing to finish, and then we have a little bit of insulation. They're about 50% done with the insulating, and then we'll finish the insulation, and then that project will be done.
And that's a regulator, it's not.
It's,
that's what
yeah,
you
you know,
have,
you know, at your house, you have a propane tank
Right,
and the line comes off the propane tank and there's that regulator. That's all it is, except they're a little bigger.
but the size of the pipe and everything's the same.
Pipe's right.
That's
Nothing
crazy.
wrong with the pipe. It has to do with the orifice. They miscalculated, the supplier miscalculated the size of the orifice inside the regulator. And so they just want to make sure they don't make a mistake twice. So they're trying to get all the information together. It's a table from the manufacturer that says if your incoming pressure is this and your outflow must be this at such and such an inches of water column, then this should be the orifice size. So it's just taking some time. It would already be probably done, except the canyon's been closed for a few days.
They should do like Tim and use their badge and say they're on the way to the hospital to make some repairs.
I've been running back and forth on 155. Actually, last Thursday, I had to make an emergency trip to Bakersfield. A motor burned out on the air conditioning for my office. It was 94 degrees in my office. I was trying to work, so I made a run down to Bakersfield, got a new motor. We got it up here. We got it installed. It ran for 24 hours and it fried. And so yesterday morning, I went and bought a swamp cooler and I installed a swamp cooler on our office. And so that's what we're functioning.
You should have just moved in here.
Well, I don't have my computer and all my stuff. Anyway, so it's been, anyway, and then the other trips have been going 155, which is about 2.5 hours each way. Yeah. That's what I'll be doing tomorrow, unless you're saying,
Canyon's open, yeah. Just show them your badge.
okay,
So I did
that's just new though.
Sunday morning. Yeah.
So, yeah, because I've got to go down and get all the shelving for the, move into, for accounting tomorrow. So,
It's been a whole lot easier. Just
Oh, yeah.
they've been resurfacing the road coming up from the power station up. So they have a pilot car that will lead you through, but
yeah, that was
I
like,
know when I came up this morning, the two cars ahead of me, they've
Yeah.
turned them around, but I showed them my badge and spawned right on through. So you just gonna wait a little bit. It took me 20 minutes to get through that mess. But
yeah,
Right.
the real drag.
Got your
you go
wife's
way down, they
sorry.
decided not to let you through.
yeah, that's right.
Use the hospital van or something.
No, the reason I'm making my vehicle is I need a big
It's
flatbed
space.
trailer to haul all the shelving.
Yeah.
The hospital doesn't hold that. So,
Does anybody know a source for a camel truck with a lift on it? That's like one piece of equipment that we really
well, you got like a stake side flatbed truck.
correct
with a
exactly
lift
with a
gate.
lift gate.
We really do need something like that.
We had a lot of
I use.
equipment and stuff we need
personal
to move,
vehicle a
stuff
lot.
like that.
Right.
It's just,
Yeah.
it's hard. So we've got plenty of funds for vehicles, for transportation and that kind of stuff, but
Just for what it's worth, when you start looking for it, make sure you get something with a rail lift, not a tuckaway stuff.
what's a real?
Rail lift, it's that deck will always remain level as it's rated.
Right.
A tuckaway, she will come down at an angle.
Well, yeah, you want a good lift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know
Accident
at one
was
time,
less than the
the state or somebody had trucks that they were, get rid of them because they turned.
There's a lot of people that get rid of that equipment all the time.
Right. That's what I'm saying. If anybody knew a source, we could maybe start kids.
Box trucks all day.
And auctions. You see them
You
at
can't, you don't
the.
want to do an auction. Most of the time you get the garbage and some of those listen.
I don't know.
Plus you got to be there with the ability to pay for
Take Tim with you.
it.
Are we looking at, we'd like to buy one?
Just a valuable piece of equipment.
Well,
to have,
yeah,
Moving
I'm
things around.
sure, but I'm sure.
Moving beds up and down from the storage up to here when we you change.
If we had a big truck like that, we could probably move accounting ourselves.
Yeah.
We don't.
On the-
All right. Okay, good.
Anyway, all right, so, seismic upgrade of the NPC seismic upgrades. I just, for fun, I looked up all of the actual project numbers. Because there's both a seismic upgrade submittal that the architect has to do and the NPC 5 water rationing plan. We've had a lot of discussion on the NPC 5 water rationing plan, because most hospitals cannot provide 100% of the water that's needed in a complete power loss situation. But what the architect and I have been working on with the engineers is that for that NPC 5 piece, because what you have to have is you got to have 96 hours of water supply. You got to have 96 hours of handling your waste coming out of the hospital in case you were losing the city sewer system. And so most hospitals are going with a water rationing plan because you don't want to put in a 150,000 gallon tank just to be able to have the kind of water that you need for your, a bigger hospital than this, obviously. So, but what we're proposing to do instead of a huge water tank is that we're proposing over here across the street in this dirt lot is that we sink a well and have a treatment facility on the well and pipe it across the street with some isolating valves so that if we lost water from Erskine Creek manages it, but from Kissick Water here in Mountain Mesa, that we simply could close the valves off from their feed and we would turn on our own well, which would be on the new emergency generator, and it would be able to supply 100% of the needs of the hospital. So that's tentatively the plan that we're working on for the, but you still have to fill out all the water rationing plan forms, which are just 30 pages, each building.
How about the cooling stuff too? We talked about.
Well, yeah, for instance, when we did lose water pressure, when they bored out here and broke the water line, we only have about an hour and a half's worth of water in our cooling tower, and then our air conditioning systems go down. So what we actually did that day is we got a hold of the company that you see their water trucks running around that have the big tanks on the back, and they'll come and fill your water tank or whatever. And they actually got here just in time. But at the same time, they got the water line fixed and the water pressure back on. So we didn't actually empty the truck into the cooling tower. But we were setting up to do so when the water came back on. Because if it's in the summertime, our air conditioning systems are cooled by water. And yeah, it lasts about an hour and a half. To make everything shut down.
What's it cost to dig a well?
It's been a lot of years since I did a well, but it's going to be, I don't know, has anybody had any experience with it? Probably 30,000 by the time we do the tank and the well and the treatment facility.
Depends on the size of the pipe, size of the pump, size of
Right.
Depth.
Yeah,
depth.
and the depth, but there are other wells in this area are about 260 feet down.
And that would be totally different than the seismic stuff. So that's something we could do. We don't have to wait to do something like that.
It's part of the seismic stuff, but we wouldn't have to wait to do it. I think once we had a design and an agreement with HCI, we could possibly proceed with putting it in. And so that we would have it for even, emergencies that might arise other than seismic event.
Would that create an issue for us with the county because it's off-site? So,
Well,
I don't know.
what would happen?
Plane and all that.
Obviously, we would have to submit the plans to the county. It might be that the well house might have to be up
Elevated.
3 feet elevated.
Yeah.
We would have to do a permanent encroachment across the road to run the water line. Yeah. So there's a lot of steps to it.
Complicated than that. I mean, it's a residential zoning, so the
Yeah.
planner's gonna look at it and go, you can't have a well on an R1 lot with no structure, so they're gonna make you go through a conditional use
Yeah,
permit.
right. And everything in this hospital is done on conditional use permits.
Yeah, the whole
So we
environmental
had-
process,
we had
it'll
to
take a
wait
year.
just
Yeah.
for that.
It will.
Right?
Yeah, the county will drag it out
Yeah,
for at
it'll
least
take
a year.
It'll take a year.
The other issues I was thinking of was the electrical, because we have to maintain sniff temperatures now, new regulation.
Right. There's a new regulation that is going into effect shortly or is already in effect.
I think it's going into
It's
effect.
going into effect shortly. I forget the exact date. But the state of California has done a mandate for all skilled nursing facilities. They must have emergency power to run all their air conditioning systems for 96 hours. And, there basically are no skilled nursing facilities in the state of California that are in compliance. And the deadline is way too short because just to submit a set of plans, design it, submit a set of plans to Oshpod HCI is going to take you 6 to 9 months. And then, then you got to fund it. Skilled nursing facilities don't make lots of money. And, to all of a sudden put in a massive generator that can run all their air conditioning systems is just crazy. I've had some conversations with Oshpod because our emergency generator project brings us into full compliance.
Well,
And he's
for 96 hours.
Yes,
In February, yeah.
we
With
We
the
will-
generators in.
yeah, with the generator, in my discussions with the guy at this Oshpod, he says, basically said, you will be the first facility in the state of California in compliance.
We are.
And we will have, with a full tank, I think we have 160 hours of runtime. Yeah. So we can,
That's a marketing issue. We could market it. We have air
So
conditioning.
can it keep running?
Yeah.
Propane into?
Nobody else will.
that's fired by diesel.
Oh, it's decent. Okay.
Yeah, so the diesel generator powers it up so that we can run our chiller, cooling towers, all that stuff. And then as part of the plan, we're gonna run e-power down to the treatment plant, so then we can handle our waste stream
Okay.
for 96 hours as well. So we don't have to have tanks for anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So that's the plan that the architect engineers and I came up with.
All right.
And so in theory, other than, if the generator project is completed in, let's just say February or March, we will be in compliance on both ends because we are picking up the treatment plant on the new generator. So that's our waste stream. And the only thing that we wouldn't have for the NPC compliance is the water. But we will be in compliance with the new state regulation for skilled nursing facilities.
Yeah, 'cause I think that kicks in just before the end of the year, because that's why I was asking you the other day. This is how
We will actually, we will be out of compliance for a few months, but so will probably 99.9% of all skilled nursing facilities in the state of California.
So the well project, is there an alternative to maybe drop a well behind the facility?
There is, but we don't own the land.
Oh, okay.
So we would have to buy the land from Dr. Leo.
Okay.
Right. What she was willing to do for the
But
value of the market value, not market value, the assessed value, which I think last time I looked was about either 79,000 or.
It's probably lower this week.
Yeah, check.
I'll do that. He said he'd sell it to us for whatever something.
it's, the disadvantage of putting the well there is our water feeds come in on the side.
Okay.
And so
All
by
the
putting
piping
it there,
goes
the
there.
piping is very short.
Okay.
If we put it there, we would have to pipe all the way
Yeah,
through
yeah.
the campus
Yeah.
to get to our water
Okay.
feed.
All right.
Because I had originally even proposed, before we came up with the well idea, take out the heliport, dig it down, lay 3 tanks in there, put the dirt back in, pour the helipad back, feed our water from there, but then to get it to the hospital, I still got to bring it all the way around.
Okay.
So that lacked some
Okay.
reasons to not do
That's
that.
the hard way to do it.
Yes, yeah. Because there's a lot of underground stuff.
Yeah.
That may not realize, but there's 60 vertical leach fields in the front parking lot that you can't get through. They're so close together.
So will environmental health let us sink a well there, given where the
Where we have
seepage
enough,
pits
we
are?
have enough distance if we keep
Okay.
this end of the
All
line.
right.
Yeah, I think it's 100 and some odd feet from your septic to your well. In other words, the soil will clean the water before it gets there.
Yeah.
Or we can do like Singapore. They actually have a big ring of tunnel all the way around the island, and all the sewage goes into it. It all goes to a treatment plant and they turn it back into their drinking water.
Thanks.
I'm gonna go with no.
You're already doing it.
Yeah, we're just letting the soil do it for us.
You're the best, I'm telling you.
He's a Reyes sign, isn't he?
Isn't he?
Yeah, all right, so that's the NBC upgrade. The dietary stove installation, the plans went to Oshpod, they've been sent back, the corrections, it's going to be submitted back to Oshpod Thursday this week. gotta love them. They now want county's approval of the stove installation, and they want CDPH approval.
Why can't, I don't get that.
County has no jurisdiction.
Well, they do because they inspect our kitchens.
Okay.
And so the county got back to me. And I didn't know where to start, so I started with planning. And he returned my call, and he has given me the name of a lady that is in appropriate position to make the determination. Because first he's saying, well, if we review your plans, we're gonna issue the permit. And I says, no, you really can't issue the permit because the permit's issued by the state of California. So he's going, then we don't need to look at it. And then I try to explain to him, well, they want to know if you want to look at them and if you want to say we're fine with it or we don't care. But I have to have a response from the county back to Oshkosh before they'll approve the project. So he gave me the name of a lady to contact, and it might be that we send them the plans and they do a cursory review through the building department and then just issue something that's a statement. CDPH has not returned my email. I sent it to them on the 17th and with no response from the,
We can get you another.
So with it's environmental health, it's gonna be doing the kitchen inspections,
right.
not planning,
But
building department.
But I talked to them and they go, we don't want to look at the plans. We might come and look at your kitchen. See, it's everybody's in their little pocket and they're all doing this,
Okay.
you know, so. So it's trying
How
to
do
be,
we get in that pocket? So, we can have certain people to call.
it's challenging. I, most of the time, I just go down to the county building. I walk in there and I say, I want to go to such and such a department. And I walk up to the department and I go in there and I say, I need to see somebody. And that's how I get the best response.
So we want to cut some brush down for the rubber ducky races at Riverside Park. I cut some willows down so we could stretch the finish line across. And so one of the guys contacted the county. And I said, we'd love to have those down, but it's not our jurisdiction, it's Forest Service. So I called the Forest Service. I said, we'd love to have those cut down, but it's county's jurisdiction, not ours. Cutting them down and.
Yeah.
It's,
Got to prove it.
it's bureaucracy. It's amazing. Yeah. All right, so that's where we're at on the dietary stove. One of these days we'll actually get approval to put it in, which will take about one day. Anyway, the skilled nursing building reclassification, I attempted to get a view with a camera inside that thing where I needed to look, and I was not successful that day. And then we've had a bunch of other things, and so I've got to get back there and try another option. The architect doesn't want to take my word that, oh yes, we have seismic joints. We have a seismic joint on the fire sprinkler service. We have a seismic joint on the airline because they're visible. That services the air conditioning controls. But everything else is hidden inside of a plenum, which is heating water, cooling water, and domestic water, hot and cold. We do have the shutoffs we need, but I am trying to figure out, sure, it's not that easy just to tear into a 2-hour rated enclosure and then have to do the repair. Because the repair requires that the inner layer, you have to go stud to stud on the inner layer. And then the horizontal joints have got to be a foot away from the next layer, and the next layer has to go to the next available studs. And so you really don't want to tear into that stuff. And so I'm trying to come up with a way to get that done. And you know,
And this is
It's
all
been-
because someone put it under the wrong classification.
yes, a previous architect hired by this hospital gave the state the wrong classification, and they won't just change it until they have verified that every thing that needs to be in place, such as, is there a seismic joint? Well, yes, there's a seismic joint. That shows on the plans, but the plans do not show seismic joints on the utilities. And so that's one of the things I'm trying to verify. You know, and so they have all these, anyway, so we'll get there. There is not a rush on this. This one is kind of one of those things that we'll get to it, and we'll get it done. Because there's higher priorities such as accounting's move and things like that.
You can't crawl up into the plenums like you did in SNF.
No, not this one. It's completely sealed. Except for IT tried to drill a wire into it,
Ah,
but they hit a metal stud, so.
oh yeah, I remember it vividly. No memory.
There's this nice hole and it ends against sheet metal. They hit the stud absolutely perfect.
So Bob, real quick, is there a fee to do this, change this reclassification that we have?
A few $100s.
It's in the bill to Aspen Street Architects for reimbursement.
We could try. Yeah, it's, there will be a whole lot more cost with the architect than the, which is it's a few $1,000s for the architect. But yeah, the actual Oshpod review fees will be a few $100s. All right, so, and then I just listed that, the emergency room cosmetic work is done, the acute care is almost done. There's a couple of chips on the front of the, that we're working on fixing the laminate. And I've pulled that guy off to work down the street on the admin building, so we'll get back to that. And then the dietary walk that we did for the cosmetic work in the dietary is just completely on hold till we get the moves done. And that's my report on projects. Questions?
No, don't everybody, don't look at me. I read. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bob.
So at the invoice review and approval, the first one is page 7 and 9. Anybody have any questions on that one? And Tim, is this one, is this balance due? Are we like at, 30 days, 90 days, or have we been paying on this?
This particular invoice is dated June 12th.
Okay,
So we're about where we are normally at paying Greenbow.
okay.
So,
And they want the full amount?
well, what they're asking for is a balance due of $7,433. If you look at the percentage of completion, they had previously invoiced us 99%. And so this finishes the contracted amount for Greenbow for this project, understanding that that's the contracted price. Construction management is above and beyond. So when you come down here under the expenses, where there's some additional costs of $3,081, that is for construction management. Understanding that the construction management that they're looking at right now is the emergency generator project. Because we did not separate at the architect level, we did not separate the generator from the seismic project.
Okay. So the balance they're wanting now is the 74?
Yes.
Okay.
Which is this percent of contract and a small construction management for that one.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, on this invoice.
Yes.
That's right.
And then the next invoice is on the kitchen equipment. And what they're saying is they're 65% done with the contract. They're asking for $1,223. The third Greenbow invoice is on the central processing hand wash sink, which that project is done. And this is their final bill for $413. That's for construction management for closeout with Oshpod. And then the next one is Greenbow for the seismic retrofit. So this one is, this was the big project of $1,153,000 for the seismic project. The plans are approved and done. So this is basically puts them at 100% of the contracted amount. And so their final invoice, other than construction management down the road, if the project proceeds, this is our final payment to them for $11,644.
So what? So that's all for Greenbow.
Yes.
So I'll make the motion to approve all the Greenbow
Okay,
invoices.
thank you. Have a second. And John, your vote?
Yes.
Ross, your vote?
Yes.
John, your vote? Sorry, Frank. I need you guys to switch places.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and I'm a yes.
And I just go back on the phone when it's not.
No,
Okay, so the next invoice is from Red Ink Architects. That is the architect doing the boiler project. And they are at 93% completion on, they are different than Greenbow in that their construction management is included in their price. So obviously the plans are done, they're approved, we're building the project. So this is still a percent of completion on the original contract, but it is for their construction management. We've had a couple of change orders and various things related to while the work is going on. So this is an invoice for $670 on their original contract amount of $67,000, of which has been billed to date $62,310. No, previously billed is $61,640, excuse me. And so this actually takes us to, there'll be about balance remaining, as you can see, is $3,350 that will be billed at completion of the project. So that one is the Red Ink.
All right, motion to approve this invoice.
John, your vote?
Yeah.
Fred, your
Yeah.
vote? Okay, perfect. Ross?
Yes.
Thank you. And I'm a yes. My gosh, thanks.
Okay, so the next invoice is Cantelmi Engineering. They're out of Bakersfield. And let me explain what this is. This is on the kitchen. This is on the kitchen stove, it's hard to say hood, but the stove replacement. So we have invoices from our architect, but what has to be done is the fire suppression system on the hood has to be extended. And so, because what's there at the end at this point does not have ability to catch on fire because of steam kettles. So we're going to take 3 nozzles out and put in 5 nozzles on the fire suppression system. So those drawings are done by our fire suppression company out of Bakersfield. And so they do the calculations and the drawings, but they are not certified engineers, so they cannot stamp the plans. So the plans had to go to Cantelmi Engineering, which we've used for years. And he's worked with Greenbow as well. But Frank Cantelmi, it's on F Street in Bakersfield. He is a mechanical engineer. And so he reviewed their drawings and stamped them. And then Oshpod kicked the plans back. They had 3 questions on those drawings. So I had to have those fire suppression drawings redrawn. And then they had to go back to Frank Cantelmi and be approved again. But this is from the initial plan review and approval of and stamping of those drawings for fire suppression for the kitchen. So that's what this $1,500 is for. The next invoice from him will only be a few $100s because there were 3 minor corrections. He just had to look at the corrections and make sure they were okay and restamp them. He has done so, and the plans are going back to Oshpod Thursday.
A question on that one.
Yes.
The contractor we hired to do the design, go from the 3 valves to the 5
Yes,
valves.
right.
It doesn't include the engineering.
Their price does not. They simply charge us for just drawing the plans. They're the
That
same-
seems
they're-
really weird.
Well, they're the same.
I know it's,
Yeah,
it's gonna require engineering.
understood. Well, we could ask them to include Frank's price in their price to us, but it would be $1,500 plus a markup.
Yeah.
So by just going direct, we don't have to pay a markup.
Okay.
They're not a
Did you
big,
know that? I
yes,
mean, that was anticipated?
yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right.
No, it's, I have to do that every time I modify the Ansel system, which we've had to do twice since I've been here. Yeah. And Frank has approved them each time. it's the company that actually comes out and services our Ansel system twice a year and every other restaurant around. They're the main Ansel system contractor in Bakersfield. But they have never chosen to either hire their own engineer who can stamp, but they also don't include, because often people want to use their mechanical engineer.
Okay.
So that's what it is.
Where did they get the address? 6429 Park Avenue. These
Because-
mailed our invoices.
Because if you Google the hospital, that is the address you get. I,
Not on the version of Google.
literally, when we were having a project come in for bid where we had 4 bidders coming, and this is back in the day when we required them to drive up there with an envelope and it had to be on our desk at 2:00. One of them we had to deny because they went to 64.
Okay, Mr. IT guy, you need to fix this with Google.
I mean, I think if you Google Kern Valley Hospital, it's gonna.
64.
Well, that's what they tell me. They said when we Google, well, either it's either Google or MapQuest or one of those things. It comes up, that's actually Dr.
You meant that.
Gross's. Is that, you got my phone?
64.
Oh,
That's yours.
That's right, you're right. Yeah, but they end up down in Park, driving back and forth and they can't find the hospital. This has happened before.
There's gotta be a glitch that says apartments or.
I think the
complex
glitch is with this.
With this so we're only gonna give him, well,
I mean, who cares? I didn't know what this address was. I
Yeah.
thought if some random person's getting invoices for some engineering company, that's probably
Yeah.
something we want to fix.
Yeah, no, I did not notice that they had the wrong address down there. But I don't know what entity, but I've been told when you Google the hospital, you get Park Avenue.
You have my assurance that's.
People
they
tell me.
just put the PO box, it's the same either way.
That works too.
Okay, motion to approve the Cantelmi invoice.
Second,
Thank you. John, your vote?
yes.
Fred, your vote?
Yeah.
Ross?
Yes,
And I'm a yes.
And the last one is from our contractor doing the boiler project. And if you turn to page 22, it has a breakdown of what they're billing against. So it's line D and E. If you look at that, so the scheduled value is how much is in the total project for each of these sub-trades. And so and from and the darker one is from previous applications, that's monies paid. And then in the E column, it shows what they're billing against each of those entities. And these are the things that are checked off by our inspector of record, by myself, and here shortly by John. There's a spot for you to sign on these. And I think you have been signing.
I signed a few already, yes.
But this is the one where we look at, how much, what are they billing against? And then our knowledge of the job, we say, well, and I will call them up. And I've done this a number of times with JTS. I'm going, sorry, you're not that far along. And then they will issue a new one with a revised smaller amount. If they're actually further along than they bill, I usually don't bother to tell them. But if they're billing too much, we don't want to pay for work that's not complete.
so they're showing in that, on page 23, column E, they're showing completion of $86,000 worth, but they're only invoicing for 81,000. Is that a correct interpretation?
You have to understand that when you're dealing with the general contractor, if you go back to the cover sheet, back on 20, there is a line called retainage. And we hold a certain amount of money off of every invoice till the end of the project, and they are paid the retainage when the project is done and closed.
I see. Okay, so that's why why we're paying them a little less.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, you hold 30% yield,
It's 5%.
5%.
Yes. We hold 5% of every invoice till the very end of the project,
All right.
from invoice 1 to however many.
Good.
Yeah. That just kind of gives them a little incentive, to finish the project.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Motion to approve this invoice.
Second,
Okay, John, your vote?
yes.
Fred, your vote? Ross?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Practice time. With arrows of who's pointing and sitting where. Just kidding.
You know, we used to have name plaques.
I know. I know.
I've only been saying that for 8 years, but.
Nobody's being, we're not in the cafeteria like.
I
Johnny
have
probably
one, but
still
it
has
says
them.
nutritional.
I could do
Yeah.
something.
I do have a suggestion. If it gets another 108-degree day for any of the meetings here, that we move to the cafeteria. Because I can't maintain this building cooling.
Oh,
at
afternoon.
108, but the dining room we can.
Opening the vents in here.
It
Yeah.
did help. Yes, we cleaned all the vents and we found that some had been closed down. Who knows why?
At least it wasn't full
They
of
got your
criminals.
closing.
Yeah. They were actually relatively clean, but Greg pulled every one of them down. Took them to the shop, cleaned them and left them fully open and reinstalled them. So,
Yeah, because I was thinking today it felt pretty, well, it's not that hot outside.
yeah, it's only like 90, low
Yeah.
90s today.
Comment didn't really make sense.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
so G, cafeteria plan discussion.
This was the item that Ross requested
Oh,
to be
yes.
put on the next building and planning. Jean, this was related to the resolution that needed to be approved for the cafeteria plan.
Yeah.
I think that we had some trouble accurately describing what the purpose of that was. But Jean also had questions about how much the hospital pays versus how much the employees paid. We listed that on board P and P, which was postponed from yesterday until tomorrow. So that will be discussed there. But you would ask that it be placed on this agenda so the board could discuss it.
Yeah.
And Tim might be able to
Yeah.
answer some of those.
Which I did.
If you just explain to these fine people what you explained to me this morning.
The issue is the cafeteria plan are extra benefits over which we normally provide. These are at the employee's sole cost. There's a number of different things they can choose from, such as, there's one for
cancer.
cancer care, right? For hospitalization if it's an outpatient surgery, you get $1,000. If it's inpatient stay, you get $1,500. There's additional insurance that you can buy. There's the health spending account, which is a new one that we just added this year.
Oh, that's good.
And so, because the employees asked for it, and so we went ahead and got that. So it's those kinds of things, and they're all done on a pre-tax basis. And that's what they needed the resolution for,
Right.
be able to allow.
Those are optional.
Yes, they're all optional.
We provide them for
Yes,
options. Okay.
correct. Yeah, maybe it could be childcare, those kinds of things are in there as well. All done
That
pre-tax.
answers the board every year or every other year.
I think it's every,
Resolution part comes.
That's
oh,
what
it is every other year.
That's when we did.
Plan we do.
22.
So help my memory. Did we approve the resolution last meeting?
Initially, we were gonna push it out, but Scott was looking at it and said the language in it, he was fine. We decided to make a change. We could do that at any time. So you
Okay.
guys did approve.
Okay, thank you, Heidi. Okay, no action required. Good to go. Easy.
And is it going to the meeting then on Wednesday?
You guys already
Okay.
approved it.
Done.
But Wednesday, we are gonna be talking about the split between the employees, and what the district pays for benefits and Jean's.
And for those who aren't going to be on call tomorrow, it's basically the hospital picks up 75% of the employee's cost, 60% of any dependent cost that they put on the plan as well. So if it's a +1 or a family plan, we pick up 60% of that cost. And so that's been in place for quite a while, but we haven't changed that since we first put it in. And we've never had any complaints from the employees about it or anything, so. Because again, the way our plan works is it's age-based on the premium. So they could get to choose whatever plan they want to get into. And even within that, the younger employees pay less than those that have been in the plan or like I have capped out.
Do you think you could trying to remind us as we get older, we cost more?
Well,
What they're saying, we use more services.
Right.
That's
that's true.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
attest to that.
For them and us. Okay, it is 2 PM. We're going to adjourn the building and planning committee.
Exactly.
We started a minute late.
Thank
Oh,
you.
there it is.
We did have pharmacy board here this morning.